What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of 88 Radio. I hope y'all enjoyed the first episode where I talked about independent artistry and staying solely independent, like putting all your money into yourself and everything. And what I want to do with these episodes is just really like teach everybody. Just like I said, I'm gonna have other artists on here besides myself, tapping in and sharing their experiences and everything. And I was talking to my friend Nicole Marie. Shout out to her. We were talking on her podcast. We was spitballing ideas about like, oh, let's talk about this, let's talk about that. What's a good topic? And I said, yo, you should talk about industry plans. She said, and she liked the idea, but I decided I'm gonna talk about it on so you can get two different perspectives. We're gonna talk about it on her show when we get around to it, because I'm gonna be on that episode. But I decided let me talk about it on my platform, because I know we and her have two different like fan bases and audiences. So, what is an industry plant? I'm gonna tell you. By definition of this was posted April 26, 2022. Industry plant, a term often used as a catch-all term for a young signed artist to a major label who appears to have tapped into the dominant trend. For some, a plant is someone who has signed to a major label, such as in the early ages they haven't had a chance to establish their own artistic identity. So I was doing some research last night. There have been a few that they say that are industry plants, such as Billie Eilish, Panic! At the Disco, and etc. And I know they said Russ is an industry plant. I've even heard they said Chance the Rapper. So, and also before I get into detail, it's more like an industry plant from, I was watching this video last night, matter of fact, it's like, let me look this guy up, because I know it's still in my save file. Bear with me. His name is the punk rock NBA. So he was talking about. He said pretty much. I'm gonna go to the quote first. He was like, "Does it matter if somebody's an industry plant if the music is good?" I'm like, that's a good question. That's a really good question. That's a good question, because it doesn't matter if they're industry plant if the music is good. Now, if it's bad, then it's, I guess you could say whatever. But my thing, before I talk about the industry plants, my thing has always been, because I'm an artist myself. My thing has always been, where do some of these artists come from? Like, it's kind of like you hear of an artist, it seems like they just came out of nowhere, like the Lil Pumps of the world. Like, where did these kids come from? Like, where did these people come from? Like, I never heard of you. Like, nobody I know, not talking about him specifically, I'm just talking about the artists that seem like they just come out of nowhere. Like, where did this person come from? It's kind of like when The Weeknd first came on the scene before he got the Drake cosign. So that's like 2013, around that time, 2012, 2013. And I made my dates mixed up, my years mixed up. But it was kind of early in his career. I'm like, I remember Trust Issue that just came out. And then he did like a cover / remix or whatever the case may be. I'm like, okay. And all his videos, all his songs had like millions of views. I'm like, who is this guy? Who is this? Like, where did he come from? But it took a while for him to like pick up steam, you know what I mean? And that goes into another thing about industry plants where they say that a lot of their stories, okay, like Billie Eilish and her brother, it's pretty much her parents were in the industry anyway. Like her mom is a singer. Her dad, I'm paraphrasing. You can quote, you can look it up. I remember they say her dad was in the industry, something like that. Her dad worked with, I think her dad was an actor, or something like that. Like they had their foot in the door already, and they say they grew up in a small house in L.A. and their parents slept on an air mattress in the living room. They gave them the room, and they turned it to a studio, and how they, pretty much fabricated the story and all that stuff. I'm like, oh, okay. And they said, you know what I mean? Like, oh, they already lived in LA, so they already had an upper hand. I'm like, oh, snap. I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. But when I was doing my research, even they talked about Taylor Swift. They say her dad bought her career, and I'm like, oh, he fronted a label. I think it's called Big Time Records, or Big Truck Records, something like that. He fronted them $300,000 to the label, but he's like, I want Taylor to be the forefront. I want her to be the one to push, So they say they bought their career, but that's neither here nor there to me, because I'm like, I don't really. If your music is good, it's good. You know what I mean? It's like, it's fine. Like I have no issue with myself with quote unquote industry plants. They don't bother me like some people. And it's just when you hear that person's industry plant, that person's industry plant. I heard they said, what's their name? Ice Spice is the industry plant. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, and when you hear the stories, like when they said, like when punk rock NBA said, like, they fabricate their stories, like they're not lying, they just lying about the come up, how they came up, the struggle part. Like, it's like to make you feel more, And I forget the other young lady he spoke about, that she did some sort of, the girl who did the ABCDEFU joint, that song he was speaking about. Matter of fact, I'm gonna drop the link to the video in the description so y'all can see it for yourself. And he was talking about how she did a challenge. So somebody in the comments on her TikTok or whatever the case may be said, you should do a challenge. You know what I mean? And the internet is crazy. Like, I don't know how y'all do it, but they tracked the woman who did who put the comment, and they found out she worked for some record label. I believe it's the same label she was signed to at the time. And like, you know what I mean? And I've heard certain stories before that makes me believe the whole fabrication of your come up story, because I've heard stories and it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, I have no issue with the industry. I have no industry plant really don't bother me, because if one thing I didn't even know it was a big thing before before any of this. Like, I've heard of it, but I never went into detail on what it was. I'm like, all right, I never thought about it. Like, my whole thing is, from how I look at the industry plants, come from me, it's like the artist, like, yeah, that's pretty much what it is. Like, the artist you never heard of, like, where did this person come from? Like where did this person, like when they come up so fast, like, songs just boom, boom, this song drops, and then they're here, boom, 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 award shows, all this. It's like, dang, like where did y'all come? And they even said Fall Out Boy was an industry plant, and there was another group that got it. It's a lot. It's a lot. Like, and like he said, I don't mind industry plant if the music is good. When he said that makes sense. If the music is good, it don't matter if they're a plant. You know what I mean? I feel like, because when it goes back to the independent grind, like I spoke on last week, independently, you're always looking to get your foot in the door. Like, if you can get in the door, oh, okay, I'm going to get on this tour, yada, yada, yada. It just so happened they see something in you that they don't see in the other people, and they fund you. You know what I mean? If you, you know what I'm saying? Like, then, like the guy said, everybody's an industry plant by that. Like, somebody funding your career, like, I'm paraphrasing that part. Like, he said, everybody's an industry plant by that logic. And I'm like, yeah. You know, it's like, pretty much he was like, because he was speaking on people like Paris Hilton and Lindsay Lohan when they did music. And they wasn't like, they did it, but they wasn't really passionate about it like that. Like, they did it, but they didn't really give their all. Like, not like they just had the money to do it. It's like, then they talk about Drake and Childish Gambino. You know what I mean? Like, so he's like, yo, it's because they had a foot in the industry that makes them an industry plant. Will they be considered an industry plant because they had that kind of connection? They already had that kind of, yo, I got my... Because how hard could it be if you're already an actor or actress and you just want to... I want to do music. You know, it's kind of like you can... you could get your foot in the door. And you're like, all right, cool. Can you put me in position to meet this person? Can you introduce me to that person? All right, cool. Come to this studio session. I'm going to put you with this person, yada, yada, yada. And boom. You know what I mean? But I guess my thing is, I always thought, like, the come up is like so... My thing is, it's all about the machine that's behind you, that's backing you. Because if you're signed to a major and it's just like they keep funding you and funding you and funding you and funding you, it's like yeah, you're going to get that money back off of them. That's cool. But does that make everybody... So would that make somebody like a Drake an industry plant? Because anything he puts out sells. Any tour he goes to puts out, it sells out. Merch sells out. You can't even find one of those OVO sweaters no more. You can't find one of them owl sweaters. You can't find that. You know what I mean? It's like, they know. He said, like, I need the label to get my advance. They know I'm going to be around. They know they going to get their money off of that guy. You know what I mean? But I guess that's a topic for a different day. But my thing is, do I believe, after I watched the video, do I believe in the industry plant thing? Yes and no. Because one, as an artist myself, you see somebody like, where did this artist come from? And oh, this person is from this area and they've been putting in work this whole damn time. They just got around the right person, picked up steam in the city and got put on. And they quote unquote put on. And I'm going to talk about that at a later date. That topic later. But I feel like, I don't think it matters if somebody's an industry plant. Me personally, I don't really think it matters because you got one. Because I feel like if I was to come up tomorrow, you know what I mean? Because I always say it just takes one song to go viral on TikTok. One song to go viral on Instagram, you know, on a reel, and boom, you're the next big thing. And I think with these industry quote-unquote plants, it's the thing where a label sees money in the person. Like, yo, I can make a lot of money fast with this person. You know what I mean? I can make a lot of money. I can make it quick. You know what I mean? some don't stay around as long as others, but you get in when you can, you know. And the girl in the video, in that same video that I'm gonna put in the description, she said, yo, I'm 31. If I was an industry plant, it took a long time for me to grow. You know what I mean? She said, I'm 31. And so I'm like, yeah, you got a point, you know what I mean? But then again, I can see where people coming in with the younger artists, like the younger artists is coming up now. I can say, man, that's an industry plant, man. This guy isn't that good. This girl isn't that good. Like, how did they get here? Like, what, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's kind of like, here's the thing, and I'm going to leave it like this. When you hear stories like, I heard that when somebody, they upload their song, Billie Eilish, and Billie Eilish is one of them, and Bryson Tiller, I heard that his friend gave him the money to record Don't, to fund that song. And he said he put it up on SoundCloud for a while, then he took it down and re-uploaded, and that's when it took off. I'm like, that don't sound, that always like, you took a song down and re-uploaded, that's when it took off. That sounds like some label stuff to me. Like, you just so happily took a song that down, they only got like, it got like 200 views, 200 plays on SoundCloud. You take it down and re-upload it, and it picks up 200,000, 500,000 overnight. It's like when they said Billie Eilish her and her brother, they only put the song out on SoundCloud for their friends and family, but the song blew up. Like, that's so strange to me. Like, that's the part where I could say, maybe that's some labels. No, there gotta be some labels up, because as an artist, if you don't have a huge following on SoundCloud, or you're not having a lot of people share your stuff, it's kind of hard for a song to pick up that kind of traction. And that's before, that's 2015, 16, that's before TikTok was TikTok. I don't think TikTok was a thing. And that was before you could do reels on Instagram for songs just the people keep using them just to get in their rotation, to get it. Yeah, all you had was YouTube. Upload a song on YouTube and you look if it goes viral. Cause back then, Don't wasn't on the radio. It was barely on. Phone was ringing. I'm not gonna edit that part out, but yeah, it was Don't was barely on the radio. It was barely even on the radio. So like, how did this song take off? Like, how did this song take off? You feel what I'm saying? Hold on. I'm sending this message, y'all. Give me a sec. But yeah, a lot like that song has been on the radio, so that's when I hear stuff like that. Like, how did it take off? And it's like when Russ put out "Losing Control." Like, I remember I was coming from the studio. I was in the lift going to the mall, coming from the studio, and it was on the radio. I think it went on. The dude was probably like, "This song is pretty good." I never heard this song because, one, I don't listen to the radio, and I had to Shazam the song. I'm like, oh, cool, this is a dope song, Russ. Okay, this is a dope song. I'm like, all right, cool. You feel what I'm saying? But when I see certain artists but then again, then I'm gonna get up out of here. A lot of these artists started off as songwriters for other people. And it just seems when they take off, it seems they come out of nowhere. But if I'm a songwriter, I've written songs for all these big name people, I have a feeling that it'll be easy for me to get my foot in the door. Like, I know the people, I know how to market, I know how to do this and how to do that. I know how to get on my songs on the radio. I know this, and this, and I don't really need that much. You know what I mean? I don't really need that much to do. You feel what I'm saying? It ain't gonna take that much for me to get this stuff done. And it ain't that hard to get on the radio, really. It's really not. You know, it's really not that hard to get on the radio. You just gotta, especially if you know the labels, especially if you know people in radio, yo, play my song. Yada, yada, yada. I know back in the day, artists used to pay the DJs at the station, yo, play my song. You know what I mean? They used to do that. And I remember somebody telling me about that, older gentleman back in the day, like, yeah, people used to do that. And yeah, that, and if they didn't play that song, there'd be ramifications for not playing that song. I paid you to play this. I need you to play that, or it's gonna be a problem. Dang, it was like this. And yes, it was bad back in the 90s. Like, they was really doing that stuff. So I'm like, when it comes to industry plants, they, like I said, they say Chance was an industry plant. All these people that say they're fully independent, but they move like they with a label. Like, I see what you're doing there. I see. But other than that, y'all, that's been another episode of 88 Radio. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Yeah, y'all. Tune in next Monday. And by Monday, I'm going to be getting ready for my show, Snow Jams 5. Yeah. So by the time when y'all watch this, the show going to be that show going to already been had by the time you listen to this video. Yeah. It's going to be a dope show. December 9th, Snow Jams 5. And yeah, I'm out. Peace.